No. It's buenos dias, but buenas noches. Yeah, because otherwise it doesn't work. Ha! Hey there! I thought that today I would do a quick roundup. It's slightly overdue, but I've been rather busy, sorry. A roundup of the Madrid Pen Show 2016 that I had the pleasure of attending in November. If you have followed my website a bit and Instagram feed, etc., you've probably seen that Iwana Cell, a very nice pen store in Madrid, sponsored us going there, which is great because that means that I can tell you about it, otherwise I wouldn't have gone there. So, that's really nice. Thanks to Iwana Cell. Let's talk a bit about this show, because I always find it interesting to check this. This is the fourth pen show I've been to. I've been to Tilburg a number of times, but I mean the fourth show somewhere in the world. And I really liked it. I was very, very positive about this show. So let's talk a little bit about the logistics of the show first, and then I'll give you more details. First of all, it's a 3-day show, which is quite exceptional in Europe, because as far as I know, every show, maybe there's one that's longer than 1 day, but every show I know and I've been to is 1 day, and 1 day only, and often just a couple of hours. So it's not like the US where you have multiple day shows. Many of the European shows are very short, very brief in time, so you really have to move around quickly, check out what you want to see, check out what you want to purchase, etc. But this show is 3 days, and not just that, it starts at 10 o'clock in the morning and it goes on till about 8:30, 9 p.m. So you really have a long time for the show. And one interesting thing is that in Spain, the siesta is still a thing. You really notice that around 1:30 the attendance of the show really deteriorates, and then it goes up again around 5 or so. So it's very interesting to see that. So I think that's one of the reasons it's so long. I have to take the siesta dip into account, which is also great. I mean, some of the vendors leave, but many of them just stay there. So if you are there around siesta time, you pretty much have an empty floor and you can just walk around very leisurely. So 3 days, quite a lot of vendors, a lot of international vendors, of course a lot of vendors from Spain, but I've also seen quite a couple from the UK, including the one-man pen show, Sarge Minas, other guys, also Dr. Lawrence Oldfield, one of the two authors of I really like their pen repair book. So a couple more from the UK, some German vendors, Martini Auctions, for example, was there. As was Francesco, and I forgot his last name, but from Italy, who was there with a couple of nice pens. So Italian vendors, the inimitable Miroslav Tischler, who's a Penkala Pens on eBay, who is a super nice guy. I met him in DC a couple of years ago, and he's wonderful to deal with and to interact with. So a lot of people, a lot of countries represented, and even a couple of vendors from the US. So it's a nicely, what do you call that, meleeed company that I really enjoyed. 3 days, lot of vendors in a hotel. That's nice because that means there's a couple of restaurants in the hotel. There's a couple of them around the hotel, so it's very easy to quickly go out, grab a lunch, come back, etc., which I think is very convenient. My experience was very positive. I really enjoyed it, not just because it was a well-organized show. Mr. Alfonso Moore is the organizer, and I think he does a really nice job. It's very well laid out. Also, it's a bargain. I think it's €3 a day to get in, so that's €9 for, it's kind of 2.5 days, because the Sunday is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sunday is 10 till about 2:30, but €9 to get in, and I think in Tilburg last time I paid €11 regular fee, and then a €20 total fee to get in early. So I mean, you get a lot of pen show for really not that much money, which is very nice. Well organized, and very interesting pens. I have never seen that many Marquier pens in one show, which is very nice. Of course, those are very high-end pens, very expensive pens. No, I didn't buy any. But if you are a collector of that kind of stuff, this is very interesting. Now, of course, this is my first and only Madrid show. I don't know if that's the case every year, but as I understand it, Mr. Moore is a big Marquier collector, so I don't know if he has something to do with that, with inviting a lot of Marquier collectors and vendors, but it's very interesting to see such a presence. For example, there was one person who had, I think, about 20 Namiki Emperors, all Marquier. That was all he had, so he just had a couple of pens. A fortune worth of pens, but very interesting to look at. And that's something I found very interesting. The vendors were very welcoming to talk to you, explain stuff, interact with you, share information, and I think that's an important thing in a pen show. And when we were talking to Alfonso, the organizer, he said that that is one of the things he finds very important. That's a show for collectors, where collectors can get together, can interact, can talk, and that's very nice, because I have had experiences at other shows. For example, in Cologne, Cologne was an interesting show too, but I didn't find the vendors very open, and they were not all equally agreeable to to people like us walking around there checking out their pens. So Madrid was a very different experience, much more social. Now, of course, the most important thing. Oh, I just want to show you this before I forget. Also cute. Madrid Pen Show actually got a little fan, which is not bad, because it wasn't a super hot venue, but I can see how if it's still a bit warmer outside, it would be a bit warm in there, so that's cute. And also we got an eraser. So these are just small things. I'm trying to open that up. There we go, an eraser. This is nice. When you get freebies like this, I think it makes you feel very welcome straight away, so that's very nice. Now, what I wanted to say was the most important thing at any pen show is not just the pens. Of course, it's nice if you have a nice collection of pens, and I was very impressed with the pens sold there. These were not old, half-broken pens. They were very pretty, very shiny, very nice pens, and of course there was a lot of vintage, but there was also quite some modern, which is nice. For me personally, for example, I'm not an enormous vintage guy. I like modern pens more. So it's nice that there is a pretty good balance, I would say. But all of that as it may be, the most important part at any pen show is the people. Because the people who attend, both the vendors and, let's say, the buyers, they make the show. Of course, it's important that there are nice pens, but it's interacting with like-minded people. That's really nice. And I have to say, I found this show very, very pleasant. Not only because the vendors were very nice, but I really met some really nice people there. I can't mention everyone, but Ignacio was a super nice guy. Bruno Taut, who has the has a Spanish blog on fountain pens. Crónicas Estilográficas. I can't pronounce it very well. Sorry, but I'll see if I can put a link in the description. Great blog on pens. Hugo, super nice guy. I met Mr. Orozco, not Eric Orozco, another Orozco. Super nice guy. My dear Portuguese friend Ricardo, and many, many, many others. I can't list 70 names here, but I really, really enjoyed interacting with all of you. Pens were shown were quick. It was sort of like a mini pen meet standing around the pen show floor. We had pictures taken. It was great. I really enjoyed that experience. Very warm, very open people. So, as a whole, I would definitely recommend this show. If you are in the US, you probably have access to a lot of pen shows anyway. I know it's a big country, but I mean, there are a lot of shows in the US. If you are in Europe, I would definitely say this show is worth it. 3 days is fun, it's a nice hotel. Of course, Madrid's a nice city. There's a lot to see and do, so very, very worthwhile. Now, I know that you're going to ask, because if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen them, but did I get any pens? Yes, I did. Will they be reviewed? Of course there will be, but just to give you a quick overview, the first pen was actually a gift. It's an Omas 360, the original Magnum model. I have sold off a lot of my pens, and of all the pens I've sold, there is one that I regretted selling, and that's the original Omas. And this was a pen that I bought years ago, this model I mean, and I just regretted selling it. It's triangular, it's kind of peculiar, but for me it's perfect. I really like it, and for some reason I sold it. Anyway, I saw this at Sarge's table, and my dear Aziza said, "Alright, here you go." So she bought it for me, which is extremely nice, and I really enjoy it. So I know I've reviewed this before. I've also done a How Do You Like Me Now of it, but I think I'm going to do a How Do You Like Me Now, How Do You Like Me Now after quite a while, and I can explain why I like this so much. Okay, second pen I bought is a classic pen, one of the classic pens. This is the LM1, and the reason I really like this, the 360 has a medium nib that is perfect, superbly tuned. The reason I like this, it has an italic nib, which is a lot of fun, but what I really like about it is of course the material. And if you've seen my review, sorry, just grabbing it, of the LB5, I love this pen, and the LM1 is a bit smaller, but it's the same material, and I think it's stunning. It's dark here, it's just artificial light. I know this doesn't really show up in the camera, even if it was perfect lighting. It's very hard to capture this, but this fusion bonded acrylic is amazing. This has such depth, so I really look forward to reviewing that, the LM1. And finally, this was a weird purchase for me on the final day of the show. For some reason this pen called to me. Everything I bought was from Sarge, by the way, which is insane, and I have issues. But anyway, this is a Stipula Etruria, but this is the Magnifica. So it's larger than the regular Etruria, and it's a piston filler. And this one has a titanium nib, which is very interesting because it's gold colored. I don't know how well you can see that in this light, but it's not the sort of dull silver color they usually have. This is actually dull gold. A fine nib, really, yes, a fine nib, but very interesting, and titanium, which gives it quite some spring. And I love this pen. It's fairly heavy, it's nice and big, and I absolutely loved it. So very random pick for me, but for some reason it worked. So there you have it. These will all be reviewed in due course. And that's it. Madrid Pen Show. Now, you may wonder, Stephen, have you taken any pictures? I have taken 1 or 2 pictures on my Instagram account, but I haven't taken many pictures. If you want to see pictures, go to Aziza's website, Gourmet Pens. She took a lot of pictures, and her pictures are always better than mine anyway. So you can always check that out if you really want to see sort of a visual impression of the show. I just blabber a lot, so I just thought I'd give a verbal impression. But if you want to see it, it's there. Okay, I hope this was useful. I will say again, a thank you to Iwana Cell for making this possible. I really enjoyed myself here. I really enjoyed hanging out at your table, but also in your shop. Very, very nice shop. Really worthwhile if you're in Madrid. And that's all there's to it. It's also a web shop, by the way. Just saying. I hope that was useful, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye-bye.